Hey, this is another Scipio rant. Remember, all Scipio rants are just my opinion, thoughts, and may contain words or phrases that are not suitable for young children. So viewer discretion is advised, and no clips, sounds, or anything from any of the topics that I speak of in rants are being used in the making of this video. Okay? Good then. Happy WrestleMania week to you all. And seeing that this is my favorite week of the year period, where all the planets are aligned in sheer perfidy, of course, bringing back the topic of wrestling inside Code America has been something that I've been wanting to do. So, as kind of a tease to get you guys set for what I have coming, and for the WrestleMania predictions video later this week. I decided on my next video rant, since I slayed down one of my most hated dragons last rant, I decided to go ahead and slay the other while I was at it. And no, not it's not the big engrossing dragon of how TV shows are poorly written, and that the American TV industry sucks. Oh, no, 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 no. It's the other dragon of my personal life, TNA. Now, why would total non-stop action wrestling be in my proverbial shotgun blast? Well, if you remember my old Out of the Ring videos, which by the way, there's a playlist for those on my channel, check them out, you'll remember that I specifically said that I would not be mentioning TNA in any of those videos. For years I've been wondering if I should tell you why that is. And I just said, screw it, it's WrestleMania week, so let's get the whole thing off of the chest. So let's begin. TNA, or Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, and yes, ha 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 ha. When I first saw the name, I laughed like a giggly schoolgirl at the notion of the name too. Its lack in subtlety is probably problem number one with the whole TNA thing. But TNA started in 2004, nearly right after the collapse of WCW, founded by one's family of Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett, being one of the biggest stars of the late WCW era, decided to put in some of his money and buy out the old classic wrestling organization of the NWA. He did, and was quickly helped and bought out by one Robert Carter. That's right, the father of supposed supposed owner Dixie Carter, who owns Panda Energy, a company out of Japan. Now, if you need backup on the information, Go to Wikipedia, it's right there. That's what I use from my sources for this rant. With the Alpha Panda Energy, they started TNA in earnest. It was a pay-per-view only organization for a while, doing pay-per-views every 3 months and practically going to every month. It wasn't until they signed a deal with then Vox Sports and all of its affiliates that TNA finally came to TV in the form of TNA Impact, most noted for seeing for the first time on television TNA's six-sided ring, which was kind of interesting at the time. No wrestling ring had ever been built like that for American television. The broadcast helmed out of Orlando, Florida's Universal Studios, most notably Backstage 21. It was affectionately referred to as the Impact Zone, and until recently, every episode of Impact has aired out of said Impact Zone. Of course, things have gotten much bigger since, with its emphasis on more wrestling less show TNA has grown a small audience but has never really broken through. You see, and there's a lot of reasons for that. You'll often you'll often hear me refer to TNA as the WWE retirement home. That's because it is. In the history of TNA, 75 to about 80% of the brand's major stars used to have a big impact in the WWE. Don't believe me? I'll give you a list of names. Jeff Hardy, Ken Kennedy, referred to as Mr. Anderson, the Dudley Boys, at a time Booker T, who returned home, Kurt Angle, yes, even Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, divas like Mickie James, Gail Kim, among others, even R-Truth at a stint there, and that's how he rebuilt his street cred, among countless others, have made their name after their name has been soiled in TNA. Of course, Jeff Jarrett being the biggest name from the WCW half of things. Heck, even Christian spent some time over there, even capturing the title before having it forcibly stripped because he wouldn't make enough appearances. The biggest thing that TNA has in its favor is the X Division. And the X Division is predicated on this. No weight limits, no limits. In other words, an extreme wrestling division where high impact moves, high flying moves, and just being downright crazy is the style of the day. And of course, the TNA Knockouts division, their version of the Divas. Mind you, these are two of the best things that they do, and quite frankly, the only things that they do well. Really, where my problem with TNA begins is quite frankly in the storylines. The storylines are uninteresting, unentertaining, and uninspired. Even bringing in Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan hasn't really helped the company. Yes, they've kind of got more financial backing and have a pretty new logo and lights, and they ditched the six-sided ring for a more traditional one, but still TNA is TNA, mired in second place mediocrity. TNA is garbage of the highest order, and after the WWE decided to ditch Spike TV after they were asking to tone it down too much, Raw returned to USA while Spike TV picked up Impact, a thing that has consistent but extremely low ratings due to the fact of just the blasé of it. I mean, take for example the current storyline going on with the Aces and Eights. The Aces and Eights are NWO 3.0 is is a gang of hooligans based around the based around a Sons of Anarchy like biker gang with their leather jackets, their gang badges, and their over solidarity. What's wrong with the Aces and Eights? Well, everything. From their leadership being Bubba Ray Dudley, a wrestler who, as a solo competitor, had no talent till about 3 weeks ago, and filled with just about every major TNA star looking to get spotlight time. I mean, hell, when you have a new member of Aces and Eights practically popping up every week, and one of the commentators, Taz, mind you, being one of the Aces and Eights vocal shills, you know you're overdoing it. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in TNA's history of horrible mistakes. From their signature event, Bound for Glory, and don't let the fact that they have Slammiversary be another big event fool you. They treat Bound for Glory like WrestleMania. Just one problem. It's in October. Combine this with the fact that Vince Russo did most of the booking and storyline writing for a good amount of time, and that the booking has not gotten any better since. Combine this with lack of pay-per-view buys, the fact that Spike TV has repeatedly, multiple times throughout the history of Impact, wanted to hit the ejector seat so far up it would probably hit the stratosphere and then burn back down on its way down. And then combine that with the fact that there's no young, emerging talent. TNA has always referred to the same guys: Sting, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and trust me, if you're a TNA fan, the 20 of you that might watch this video in interest, you know who those wrestlers are. Yes, they've gone through some great cosmetic strides, but the background strides are absolute trash. Plus, one thing that's hurting TNA is the lack of TV time. They only have the 1 2-hour show every week on Spike. With Spike's failure, or any other networks for that matter, to embrace TNA and help them out in TV time, It doesn't matter if they have a YouTube page or all their pay-per-views or Impact shows can be streamed over other sources. What it means is that they're a B to C level company just barely hanging on the Hall of Fame names. What makes me mad about being a wrestling fan is the fact that TNA is treated as the number two when they in no way express the actual physical qualities to call themselves number two. What should they do to improve? Well, practically rewrite everything. The TNA name, ugh, it has to go. The double entendre, almost sexist approach to the naming of the brands has to go bye-bye immediately. Plus, they need a fresh crop of young talent and depend on them. Guys like Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, guys that have real talent. Yes, they have things like TNA Gut Check, but what does that help when you're constantly putting Sting, Hogan, Jeff Hardy, and guys like Bubba Ray in the frame? And yes, I know his name is Bully Ray, but come on. Every wrestling fan worth his intelligence will still refer to him as Bubba Ray Dudley. Com- combine, combine this with more of an emphasis on building great storylines for the men as well as the women. Place the pay-per-views properly, like Bound for Glory, should be right about now. Not in October, now. How much now? How about this Saturday right now? If you feel that you're on the WWE's level, then get on their level. Put your biggest pay-per-view the night before. Make them choose. Don't essentially concede April. That's not a good idea. And neither are half of the things that you do. Stop trying to retread storylines that you don't have the talent to execute. Because, quite frankly, you really don't. And you need to find a network that is willing on TV to give you multiple days. Because if you don't, you won't expose yourself enough. And especially since you just lost the impact zone, you morons, and are now truly hitting the road, things are going to get worse before they get better. And it can all be prevented by making these small yet big decisions. Yeah, I'm a WWE fan. I'm a WWE fan for life. But if WWE doesn't have a competitive, and I mean truly competitive number two, then what's the point of us dominating the sport on the major stage when there's no one since WCW in '03 to really challenge us? Once again, just like the Sony rant, this rant isn't about just bashing TNA's head in for its mistakes. It's more about highlighting them. and really showing that yes, although there may be promise, it's not there yet. Trust me, at the way TNA is now, I'd rather finish watching the entire series of Pound Puppies than watch an entire hour of this crap. And that's really saying something. And I'm not even going to use the term that I usually refer to them as. They don't need any more bashing. Until the next Scipio rant. Live life by the code.